We're now going to draw our attention to creating custom icons for our shelf buttons. Currently, I have a bunch of buttons here for our shelf, and we have a bunch of icons on these. And these have all been generated by hitting Command, Control Shift, and clicking up one of the menus, or dragging and dropping from the script editor. So if I want to look at these icons, I can right-click on any one of these and go into Open. And you see right now it shows us a preview of our icon, and we have this little dragon and a little file folder. Now I don't want to replace my circle icon. I'm happy with that. I want to create a brand new shelf button that we're going to make as a separator. So I'm going to click this little button right here, which says New Item, and I get a user script. Now this is just a blank shelf button that you could fill in your own code in, but we're going to use this for a separator. So I could go through and click on the little dragon and pick, any icon in here I want. So you see. Now, one I want to draw attention to is some of these icons, especially the SVG, the sizes are huge because they're not really meant for shelf buttons. Now, when you first pick these, it's going to look fine in your shelf, but when you close on Maya and reopen it, it's going to resize to the size of this icon. So this is going to make a shelf that's going to be like 3 levels high, which is not what we want. So refrain from using those. And you should probably refrain from using the really tiny buttons that are meant for the top of the camera views. So in this case, maybe we don't want anything that's in here. Maybe we didn't find a choice that we really liked. Oh, by the way, there is this filter area where you can type in like that and it only brings back those types. Just kind of nice. There is one big benefit of using the little drag and picking the Maya icons. And that's because any system, any Maya that you open these up are going to know it's there. Now the alternative is this little folder. When I click here, it allows us to pick a path to where your icon is and choose that one instead. Now this is actually jumping up my icons folder, which I'm going to locate it and show it to you in a second. But these are the ones that are on my system. So let's say I picked my separator icon here. Now this is a custom icon I created, and I hit open. And now I have my little icon preview, and I can say close. And I can just middle mouse drag this anywhere I want in my area to use as a separator. I also say sometimes I like to make these separators, and I like to add a tooltip to tell you what is actually on the other side. So let's say there was like constraints on that side. Maybe I'll do stuff like that. And I could also make a command and just put in, this is constraints. Like that. So when I click the button, you see it says constraint area, and I move my mouse over it and it says constraint. So if I had a constraint area, I could just do that, and it at least gives me a little look to where those are. Okay. We do have a problem with this little separator button, because when I open, you see how we have this huge path? This is actually very dedicated in my computer because this is my name in it. So if I give you my shelf, this is not going to work. The icons it's not going to break the shelf, but the icons are going to pop up as blank boxes. The labels, if you put icon labels in here, those are going to pop up. But everything else, it'll just be a little blank square, which is no good. So how do I make this so I can see it on anybody's computer? For one, I would have to give you this icon. That's the very first thing. The second thing is I would have to put in my icon folder, and all this stuff has to be removed. Now, unfortunately, I can't just void that out and go to 1 and come back. It doesn't have a refresh. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to save this, and we're going to have to look at our mel shelf, or the code for our mel shelf inside our system. So let's say I'm going to close. And now since I'm going to be modifying the shelf information, I have to close Maya. If you keep Maya open, it's going to overwrite any changes I make to the shelf code. So I'm going to close it down, which it should do any last savings when it's done. I'm actually, as we do this, there we go. So in my Maya folder, I have my 2014. Now this is for this version of Maya, and that's where our shelves are. So I'm going to open this area. Now I'm in my Maya folder, and under Preferences, we have an icons area. And this icon has all my icons. So inside that version, you're going to put your icons in here. It actually would be nice if they had just a general icons area that is in the, in the My folder like scripts, but they do not. So I would actually take that separate icon, give it to you, and you would put in your icons folder. The next thing under shelves, which is under preferences as well, we'll have to go in to the code. Now this is our shelf code right here, and I'm just going to drag it over to Sublime. Now the first reaction here is it's intimidation because you have a lot of information, but these are just commands and these are all the flags modifying how this command is going to work. Now remember, I put that separator at the end of our shelf, and I did that purposely so I could find it easily, because what I'm looking for is these two flags here. You see it says image and image one. This is where it's going to say all that path information and the shelf information. So on this is literally where it does its command and all that other information. So I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom like there, and now you see this huge path. This is our last shelf button. So I'm just going to remove this path, everything but the word separator, and that would actually, that sets us up. That sets us up for actually creating our blank, our template for a separator. So now it's not dedicated to my machine. Now I just saved it at Command S. The next thing I can do is, instead of constantly creating a lot of different shelf buttons over and over again inside of My and doing this again, what I could do is I could copy this shelf button code. Now it's very important that you get the command and goes all the way down to the semicolon. And if I copy and paste this a couple of times, I'm going to get multiple shelf buttons. Now I could change my print information here, or I could go in and I could just change it inside, like the annotation. But now when I save it and I open up Maya, you're going to notice I'm going to have a whole bunch of different separators at the end. See? I got a whole bunch of separators. And I could just literally mouse drag these anywhere I want and update them per need. Like that. And if I don't like one or I don't want any more, I can get rid of them. And when we open any one of these, you'll notice that now I don't have that huge path on there. So that's one big benefit. And the last thing I want to show you in icons is how to use a program like Fireworks. Fireworks is literally a web image generator. And you can use Photoshop or GIMP or whatever you're more comfortable with. But the nice thing about this is it kind of treats images like they're vectors. Like for instance, if I grab the border edge, I can increase the size of this separator. Now I have it zoomed in to 200%, but it tells me that our icon is 24 by 32, which a typical icon inside of the shelf is 32 by 32. So really the actual, this is the width, 24, and the height. Now when I first got this image, it was actually literally about like 20, or it was less. It was literally just like 10 or 15, and it was just as big as wide as the icon. Problem is that when I reopened Maya, it crushed everything back down on it. So what I did is I went into this program, like I said, you could do this in Photoshop too, and I just went into I edited the canvas. There we go. And I just increased the canvas size and saved it out. So I made sure that our image, our width was actually, our height was 32 and our width was however big I wanted to separate. Now I didn't want it to be 32 by 32 because I didn't want a square in our information. I just wanted to get a little bit more of a buffer between the icons. So I increased it by like 5 pixels on each side. And then I saved it out and I put that image in there, and that was pretty much it. But you can make any modifications you want to by that image. And I can tell exactly what the image size is because inside the shelf, it tells us, okay, 30 by 34 is what the typical one. So it's not 32 by 32, but it tells us right here. And I can go up to any one of these other icon buttons up here and see the actual width. This one's 35 by 35. So we have a little wiggle room. You remember, it will push things around. So if you make it too big, it will go onto a second window from its height. So we want to be careful about that. But other than that, that's the different ways of modifying icons inside the shelf. and making it so you can see them anywhere.